Welcome to Alberta's Regiment, Stories from the South Alberta Light Horse. I'm Captain Don Gerling, Canadian Army Reserve CIC, and with me today I have Lieutenant Colonel retired Robert McKenzie. I'm honored to have a chance to speak with Linda Fletcher today on her experiences with the regiment. Good day.
Good morning, Don.
How are you?
I'm well, thank you. And yourself?
I'm good.
Robert?
So, tell me a little bit about your background. How did you get to Medicine Hat to start with?
Oh, coming to Medicine Hat. Well, I was married, and the fellow I was married to felt that Medicine Hat was the place to go, and he wanted to start a company here. So away we came with my two daughters, both in high school. Both attended Crescent Heights High School. And lo and behold, things did not work out. And my sister asked me, she said, I want to join the reserves. She had been an air cadet, and she really wanted to join the reserves. So I said, sure, I'd go with her. What the heck? It would be fun, I thought, and maybe give me a sense of direction. Here I am still with my family, military South Alberta Light Horse.
So you've raised your two daughters and you started, was it about 1989 that you...
1989 is when I joined, and I retired in 2003. Yeah, it was really different for me because I came into the South Alberta Light Horse, went on basic. I'd never had anybody swear at me that much and give me heck. It was, but I'll tell you, what a family. It forms such a family because of South Alberta Light Horse, because of my involvement with them. I got a job out at CFB Suffield. I worked out at CFB Suffield for 22 years. And I still continued to be connected with South Alberta Light Horse.
Now, you were older when you joined the unit. What effect did that have? I remember they used to call you Ma Fletcher in the junior ranks club.
Ma Fletch because I looked after everybody. I was terrible for that. I was 37 when I joined. And how did it affect me? Here at South Alberta Light Horse, here with my family, my immediates right here, it was fine. I was totally accepted. But sometimes when you went on courses, that was tough because you were coming into courses with kids that were 18, 19, you know, and they didn't quite feel comfortable with you. But still, I went on course in Nanaimo. I did Min and Finn. That was when they were separate at that time. They after a while they amalgamated and became RMS. But it was different.
So you were a clerk.
Yes. Yeah.
And how did that background, the military training, help you get a job at CFB Suffield?
Because of my knowledge of the language, military language, because of the fact that I knew all about the filing system, which is unique, and also the financial side of it. That helped me greatly. I worked for NPF, non-public funds, for a few years, and then I went into accounts payable out at the base. So it played a big part, absolutely.
What is your most, do you have a memorable experience from being in the unit? Or does it all fit in?
Do I have a memorable?
Yeah.
There's depending on who I'm talking to, who I'm visiting with, it depends there. We did a lot of things. I remember going out on exercise with Captain Neil Douglas, and I was the driver. Yeah, I nearly killed him. We hit a foxhole, and I couldn't see it in the dark. Memorable, getting my Queen's Golden Jubilee Medal was momentous for me. It showed that how much people really appreciate you and see what you're doing, and that was wonderful. There's a lot of really good times that I can remember. There's a few not so good times, like when I got hurt. When we were out on basic, we were out in Suffield out in the field, and I had actually pulled my groin muscle and I could hardly walk. And it was quite funny because they were very young officers. You know, I was older than them. So it was quite funny because he said to me, well, what do you think, Private Fletcher? He said, should we take you out of the field? And I looked at him, I said, well, sir, I don't know, but I said, I can't walk. So it's sort of like your decision, eh? You know, things like that. Just funny things, fun things, you know, being out on exercise and Wainwright. And they'd been out in the field for I don't know how long, the regular force. And I had set up my hooch. I was with the RSM's driver. And this regular force guy comes over and he says, I can show you how 2 people can fit in that hooch. I said, no, that's okay. I'm fine. There's so many things. Like sitting here, I think back to driving the RSM. We're driving along and he says, tell me, Private Fletcher, he said, are the cougars behind us? And I looked in the rearview mirrors and I said, no, I cannot see them, sir. And he said, but they have to be there. And I said, well, sir, I can't see them. So we stopped. And then he made me turn around. And I mean, the trees, they weren't that big, but they were still like this. And I'm in a vehicle, you know. We plowed through looking for the cougars. We never did find them, by the way. But they caught up to us after a while. There's so many things. There's just so many things.
Now, you retired after 13 years,
Correct.
and you continued out at Suffield, and you've recently retired from Suffield. And now you're also involved with the Cadet Corps here in the South Alberta Light Horse.
Yeah, I love my cadets. It's such an experience to work with the kids, to watch them grow. I've been with the Cadet Corps 5 years now. I also did some time when I was in the reserves as a liaison. Yeah, the Cadet Corps keeps you young. Those kids are exciting, aren't they, Don?
They are.
Yeah. It's been quite an experience. I'm the supply and admin there with the Cadet Corps. Yeah, the kids teach you a lot too. Hey, Don, we learn a lot from those little darlings. Patience being the top one. Yeah.
So, sorry.
How did your family react to you joining the reserves? That's quite unusual.
Yeah, both my kids were in high school, and at first they were a little embarrassed. You know, here's their mother, 37 years old, putting on a green uniform and acting like a soldier. But within less than a year, they were so proud to be part of the military family. It actually brought us, up to then, you know, my family hadn't really, even though we have family that has participated in World War II, they hadn't really realized the impact that being in the military brings you. Now my kids, like very conscious of Remembrance Day, they very conscious of anything that goes on militarily wise. Lynn, actually, my youngest daughter, so I was a steward for South Alberta Light Horse, so I did all the dinners, and very often she worked with me. Now my oldest daughter, Lisa, was already gone, so she was in the States at the time. But Lynn has become very much part of the Sally Horse family. Absolutely. It's been good.
Yeah.
You became the resident expert, I think, on the mess dinner etiquettes and so on and so forth. You did that for many years.
I did that I came in 89. I think in 90 or 91 I started doing started stewarding. And then after I left in 2003, I still continued on for about 5 more years doing all the mess dinners until they started going to the Cypress Center. Those stairs will kill anybody, tell you. But yeah, there was really good dinners too. And then I was also part of the CAV organization.
Yeah, talk a little bit about that. What does that entail?
Canadian Army Veterans. It's a group, motorcycle group actually, that basically it's made up of veterans, but it's also made up of supporters of veterans. And basically we did things like, for example, we helped with the cancer walk. We helped with security at Remembrance Day, so that people they didn't have so much trouble at the Legion and whatnot with people coming in. We went out and cleaned the headstones at the prior to Decoration Day, correct. We also brought back a Canadian veteran from the States. So it is just anything that we can do to help or support military things, or whatever we can do to help. It doesn't matter, actually. CAV helps everybody or anybody.
Really
It's across
interesting.
Canada.
There's quite a story, and I'd like you to expand a bit about that, bringing that Canadian soldier back, because there's some interesting. That's a really interesting story.
Yeah, it is really interesting. Unfortunately for me, my memory banks aren't very good anymore. But what we did was, now I didn't ride a motorcycle. I went as a safety car, and we went up to Havre. Was Havre? Yeah, I think so, Havre, and met up with the United States cycle clubs that were bringing him to that location. So we had the funeral car. His family was there, and then we escorted him back to here to what's the funeral home down at the bottom of the hill there? Samus. Yeah.
And this, when you talk about bringing a Canadian veteran back, that's bringing the remains of a Canadian
yes.
veteran.
Sorry,
to
I
be
should have been
buried.
more clear. Yeah, yeah. Hence the funeral car.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. It's the remains. They're an exciting group. I went there because my friends were there. I was part of something militarily, but I don't like motorcycles. So I'll stick with my cadets.
Yeah.
I really like my cadets. They're wonderful.
You have some other paramilitary organizations you belong to.
Oh, yes. I recently joined Royal United Institute.
Royal United
Services Institute, USI. That's all I knew it as USI, but we just changed to Royal. We've been given Royal Assent. And I'm going to be the treasurer for them. And please don't ask me what they do, okay? Because though I'm part of it and though I have bartended for them, they're just my friends. Sorry.
But you're so heavily involved. The other thing I really wanted to talk to you about is that you were nominated for a rather prestigious award in 2008.
The Queen's Jubilee,
Well, I think it
Golden
was
Jubilee, or the Diamond Jubilee?
the Civilian of the Year award.
Oh, I didn't know about that, until I got the commendation, because it was on my commendation that I'd actually been nominated for Civilian of the Year. What an honor. What an honor. For me, it shows that the people that I have been with, that I've worked for, that I've worked with, have recognized my value and taken the extra step of putting my name forward. What an honor. I mean, even just to be nominated meant so much. So, yeah, I did get that one. Correct.
Didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
I didn't forget about
There you go.
Now, a job in the military, there are a lot of different jobs, and you had the job of admin clerk and finance clerk. We did a lot of discussion with people who are in the combat arms, but the clerking side of it, what does that involve in the military?
When I was in, it involved making sure that everybody was paid properly, that when they went on courses or they went away for whatever reason, that they were paid properly, that they had the proper paperwork, that they were protected wherever they were. Admin-wise, making sure that we had all the documents that we needed in case there was any kinds of emergencies, accidents, whatever the case may be. I can't say enough for the support of various, like admin, finance, transport, QM, of which I've actually worked in all four of those through South Alberta Light Horse. But Army doesn't move without the support staff. Just saying.
Yeah.
So did I feel that my role was important? I didn't think it was important, but I've come to realize that it was important. I also worked in transport for a while here at Sally Horse. I've also assisted with the QM, which is supplying the soldiers with rations, clothes, pencils, pens, you know, the whole gamut. So without that, the Army can't
Getting them to go ready to go in the field
Yeah.
to do their
Absolutely.
job.
Yeah. I went in the field too. I wasn't just a clerk that sat behind a desk. I was in the field with my teammates, my family.
So being in the South Alberta Light Horse enabled you to get a full-time job.
Absolutely.
And would you say it increased your skills a lot? Your skill set?
Absolutely. Yes. Yes, it did. Mm-hmm. It brought me into a whole new world of people that I would never have had that contact had I not been through South Alberta Light Horse. Mm-hmm. South Alberta Light Horse, actually, right now I'm retired. I'm retired from the public service. Without South Alberta Light Horse, I would not be where I am today. I would not have the financial security that I have. Mm-hmm. There's no way. I would not have had that. Mm-hmm. I would not have the family that I have now either. I have some great friends.
Yeah.
For me, and if I'm not careful, I'm going to cry. This has been a wonderful movement in my life. It's changed who I am. It's changed where I wanted to go. I've met some absolutely fantastic people. I've learned skills that I would never have learned. I'd have never learned how to shoot a weapon, ever. I've learned that through South Alberta Light Horse. I've learned all my first aid care because of the Army, because of South Alberta Light Horse, because of CFB Suffield. Yeah, it's been a wonderful go. It really has. Wonderful go.
I know from working with you that you have a strong work ethic. And in your civilian career out at the base, I understand that you were recognized for that, for the commander's commendation from the base commander of Suffield. Can you tell me what that was all about?
Yeah, I've got actually a couple of those, but the most important one was from the base commander. When we first went over to Afghanistan, when our soldiers went over, we came up with an idea of sending a shoebox over. So what I did was I sent all the way around the base, and I asked for things like toothpaste, toothbrushes, movies, socks, but anything that would fit in a shoebox. Then I went around and got shoeboxes. That was interesting. And I filled all those up, and I sent them off to Afghanistan. I think I was hoping for 100, but I think at that time we did about 33. The next time we did it, because we did it again, when my friend Al went over to Afghanistan, and that time though, we did better. We did 88 shoeboxes. So anyway, the first time, yes, the base commander honored me with a commendation. The second time was ASG. Just wasn't quite as much honor because I actually knew the base commander. So.
What's ASG for people?
Yeah, what?
Area support group.
Yeah, that's it. They changed their name, so it's
Yeah.
Area Support Group.
Yeah.
They change their names every time you turn around. Thank goodness South Alberta Light Horse has stayed the same. Lately. Oh dear.
Although the regiment has been South Alberta Light Horse longer than any other name in its history, although we perpetuate up, I think, 47 regiments.
Yeah. Yeah, I read that the other day
Yeah.
and I was going, holy mackerel,
Yeah.
isn't that something? It's funny, I think, like I love our museum here. It gives you a wonderful overview of who and what South Alberta Light Horse was. what we had the commemorative evening the other night for the Dutch.
Yeah.
I was overcome with pride that I did not realize that we had participated in such a monumentous move, that we had rescued a town, and they still recognize that to this day. That was really wonderful. I enjoyed that very, very much. I look forward to every year, but.
Yeah, it was interesting to give a wee bit of history about that. When I attended the battlefield tour in 2007, we arrived in Bergen op Zoom, and Major Danny McLeod, who led the troop into Bergen op Zoom, was there, and we walked into the city hall, and we were in there probably about 20-25 minutes, and we came out. There must have been 400 people in the town square to see Major Danny. And
isn't that remarkable?
yeah.
I know that we went over to Europe when my youngest daughter got engaged, and my only request was to go to Vimy Ridge. And we got there a little bit late, and they were just closing. And what was so remarkable was, of course, how quickly they said, well, no, we won't close. You guys can go and we'll show you. And they stayed open just for us because we were a little late. But it is amazing how they feel about Canadians over there, and the monuments that have been built in the honor of our people that had saved them. Makes the heart go. It really does. I think Vimy Ridge is one of the most beautiful sites I've ever been to. Not that I've been to a lot.
Yeah.
But no, I'm very proud to be part of South Alberta Light Horse. I really am. Very proud.
You also volunteer, and perhaps it's because of your experiences with military. I'm supposing that with the Canada Day Committee.
I think I got sucked into the Canada Day Committee, but hey. Yes, I am on the committee with the Canada Day Society. And again, I feel quite strongly about that too, because to me, we Canadians should be a lot more proud of our country than we are. And Canada Day, to me, just epitomizes that. So I've been with them now for 6 years. I run one section, but I do, of course, help with everything else. But it's a tough job, boy. I tell you, there's a lot of work to be done just through a specific time frame. But yeah, I think everything is connected, isn't it? Everything is connected some way. So for me, Canada Day is part of the South Alberta Light Horse in that we as militaries support and defend our country. So the two just kind of melded together pretty nicely.
Would you say that these experiences have increased your awareness and your pride in your country?
Oh, absolutely. Without a doubt. Absolutely. I'm even actually starting to read our history a little bit because I didn't realize just how wonderful we are, South Alberta Light Horse. You know, to me it was just my family, my friends right here. But now it's grown beyond.
I've often said that you don't really start to appreciate your involvement in history until you get older, and you're standing back and taking a look at at your life and the things you've been involved in, and suddenly you say, "Hey, that was important."
Yeah, absolutely. And what's really nice about it for me is that both my girls, not my oldest so much, but Lynn, my youngest, and her daughter, we have, like, they're very much part of it now. Like, they're participating. We're going to Remembrance Day. We're doing things that involve the military, whereas before we never do. And then by extension, we're bringing in their friends and their families, and so it just gets ever bigger.
So obviously, belonging to the South Alberta Light Horse changed your life, and what would you say to individuals who are a little bit older about joining the military?
Never be afraid. Never be afraid. I made it because I did. I would have never thought I could do it. It can be hard, but as long as you persevere, as long as you're loyal, and I think that's probably the most important thing, is to be loyal and to keep on trying, and you'll be part of this family, guaranteed.
And clearly you feel supported by that group, even by extension and even today.
Oh,
Would that be fair to say?
oh yeah. Oh yeah. Actually, to be honest with you, the members have shown me my worth, because I didn't believe I had that much worth. And yourself, Robert, Major Payne, all showing me that I do have that worth. So I'm very proud, very proud.
And you also volunteer with our regimental museum too, don't you?
Yeah, but I'm not very good at that yet. We'll practice. We'll get there. We will get there. Yes, I am one of the volunteers that takes people through the museum.
I'm going to yank you back a little bit. You talked about that you had family that were involved in the Second World War and you didn't really know much about it. Since being involved in this, have you learned a bit more about them and their experiences, or?
Yes, to some degrees. It's very unfortunate that my mother has passed. It was on my mother's side that my great uncle, Frank Pass, died in the Second World War over in England. But I have since found out that also on my father's side, I had an aunt that was participated in as a nurse with the females army. So, and I found that out because I was going through some books and I found a small Bible that was my aunt's, and it was given to her through the military. So yeah, you kind of look back and see where your family has been when you're part of a military world, just to see and to know. So I have a little tiny bit, not a lot, little tiny, but still there. My mother always used to call me, well, here comes my daughter the soldier. She always said that, she's like, I could always tell when he'd come home from exercise. Language totally changed. But she was proud of me too. She was. And I was proud of me, and it's been a wonderful go. Yeah.
Well, it was interesting because I was in a large part of the time that when you were also in, and to notice how you grew. I remember you coming in being you weren't as forward then as you are now.
Oh, I was scared, Robert. Yeah. I was terrified. That I made it all the way through amazes me. That I have made such fine friends as yourselves, it's such an honor.
And when you're put in something like that, it's easy to quit.
Oh yeah.
Did you ever think about quitting when you were going through the basic? Or did you say, I'm going to do it? No,
I was determined. You know, up to that time, because I'd had a couple of failed relationships, I just felt that I kept giving up. Mm-hmm. And I decided that this was something that I was going to finish. So I did. And I got 13 years. Mm-hmm. So, no, I never ever... There were times where I was frustrated, absolutely. But not to the point where I was willing to walk away from this group, you know, until 2003. Then, I don't know, I had reached an age where putting the rucksack on was a bit rough, and we had a few issues going on, and I just felt it was time to move on. But like I say, I didn't leave the family completely. I just went off on my own for a bit.
Well, certainly it's been the Army Cadets' significant advantage that you have moved over and been. I know personally that you have have brought a lot of positive skill sets to the cadet side of the world.
Thank you.
It is a credit to you and a credit, and we're very lucky to have you. And I know
Thank
that
you.
I know that your skill sets that you gained through the regiment and the connections, because we
Yes.
are a family, and the cadet is just one other extension of the regimental family. So you really haven't left anything, but we're still gaining the use of your skills, and that is certainly very, very important. And I think that you can be commended for your continued service in that regard.
Thank you.
Personally, I would say that I appreciate your service because you've worked with me so closely over the years, and we have a fairly long history too.
Yes, we do.
Yes.
Yes, we do. Yeah.
Yeah, through the mess dinners and lots of other things. But
Yeah.
You've always been there as a resource as well, even when you weren't directly assisting us, which was a tremendous asset as well. Because as you know, the military have very specific channels and ways of getting things done, and there's a knack to knowing how to do that.
Yeah, you got to know how to follow that little trail.
Yeah, and you know that.
And sometimes the personal relationships that you've developed make the trail a lot easier to follow.
Absolutely, for sure, because you just know who you can call and depend on, and they're there for you, and it makes your task so much easier. It makes you look good too. But yeah, and that's the one thing that military is we're always trying to help each other. Absolutely. Still love my cadetties, so. It's funny because I haven't been that connected with South Alberta Light Horse, the regiment. So I don't know as many people as I used to. But I'm glad to be coming back into it where I'm having more direct contact. It's always nice to increase your family, right?
You betcha.
Well, the people may change, but the regiment doesn't change.
Never changes.
And no, and it's interesting when you're out. I've been out for 6 years now, and even the number of people that I know, and I've been quite involved,
Yes, you have.
it has changed dramatically in 6 years.
Yeah. But they still welcome you back.
Well, it's been a pleasure being able to talk with you today about your experiences with the South Alberta Light Horse and its extended family, and to see what it's done for you and what you're giving back to the regimental family and to the community. You're to be commended for that, and thanks so much for taking the time out of your day to visit with us.
You're welcome. Thank you for inviting me.
This has been Alberta's Regiment, Stories from the South Alberta Light Horse. Thanks for watching.